Welcome to the lecture, guys. In this lecture we'll be covering about motion in 1D part 1 of your kinematics of your physics. My name is Anmol Kumar. I am MTech in Aerospace Engineering from Indian Institute of Science Bangalore and your instructor at iitpathshala.com. Guys, you are free to call me at my Geo number 83804138. I am 24/7 available here, or you can just message me on my WhatsApp number, personal WhatsApp number, which I have given over here. Now, if you want to give your mock test, you can use my site over here. I have given a free mock test for you, which you can attempt before giving your IIT JEE Advanced or IIT JEE Mains. Now, before going into the lecture, please guys like, share and subscribe my channel and hit the bell notification also. Okay, so please share as much as you can. Now let us move with the lecture itself. First thing first, so we'll discuss the basic definition of rest and motion. So an object is said to be in motion with respect to a reference frame, namely S1. Let us say the reference frame is S1, which is according to you, when its location is changing with the time in the same frame of reference S1. Okay guys, so if you don't know what is reference frame, a reference frame is a framework that is used for the observation and mathematical description of the physical phenomena and the formulation of physical law, usually consisting of an observer, a coordinate system and a clock or clocks assigning the time and the position with respect to the coordinate system. Okay guys, so that's the basic bookish definition, but the most simple one for the reference frame. Now rest and motion are the relative term, because according to you I can be in rest, but according to me I am doing some kind of work. As you can see, I am delivering a video over here, but for you guys I'm doing nothing. I'm just sitting on my couch. Absolute rest and absolute motion have no meaning. Okay guys, now your motion is broadly classified into three categories, which is rectilinear, your 1D translatory motion, your circular, in which you are moving along the perimeter of the circle, and your oscillatory or vibratory motion, which is nothing but you are oscillating along a point A. You are oscillating about a point A, and restoring torques are making you to oscillate. Okay, every time you are moving away from that point A, the restoring torques are taking you at that mean position or at that particular point A itself. Now we'll discuss all these, the second and the third, in the frequent lectures, but let us discuss the rectilinear or translatory motion over here. So rectilinear or 1D motion, when a particle is moving along a straight line, then you can say that it is rectilinear motion. Now parameters of the rectilinear motion or a plane are as follow. First one is the time, which is a scalar quantity, and the SI unit of time is second. At a particular instant of time, the physical object can be present at one location only. Okay, and you know that time can never decrease. Now second thing is position or the location. As you can see over here in this curve, a particle is initially at the position A. Okay, you have defined a vector defining the position of the particle which is present at the A. Now you are moving on the road ACB. You are moving on this road and you are finally at a point B, as represented by this vector R2 vector over here. So now, as you know, in the following, what you have done is you have made a origin by yourself. For example, this was your origin from which you were defining the vectors, from which you were scaling your vector. Okay, from this origin, from this reference origin itself, you were saying that the particle was initially at a point A, then finally it was at a point B. Okay guys, so that's the position or the location. Now the two parameters existing or associated with them are distance and the displacement. Distance is the actual path you are traveling. For example, if you are going from your class while the lecture is going on, if you are going from class to bathroom, then you will be taking a long path to cover it. You will be moving zigzag only. Okay, that whole path, that zigzag path will be your distance. Okay, and the points, the class from where you have moved to the bathroom, the points joining both of them by a straight line is nothing but the displacement. Okay, now let us move to the basic things, that distance having a SI unit meter and is a scalar quantity. It can never decrease with time, whereas your displacement is a vector quantity. Again, its SI unit is in meter and it can decrease with time. Okay, so for a moving particle in a given interval of time, displacement can be positive, can be negative or zero, but distance would always be positive. It's a mandatory condition. Distance is always greater than or equal to the magnitude of the displacement, and distance is always equal to displacement if and only if particle is moving along the straight line without any change in direction. Okay guys, so now let us take average speed and average velocity concept over here. So average speed is nothing but the total distance you are traveling upon the total time you are taking. Okay, nothing fancy about it. Average velocity is the net displacement you are having. Okay, for example, that was your curve r1, r2, which were defining your position. This is point A, this is point B. Then total net displacement was this line straightly joining A and B, was nothing but vectorly I can say that it is nothing but r2 minus r1. Okay, so that's my AB vector over here. Okay, so that's my displacement upon total time whichsoever you are taking. Now you have to remember guys that average speed is a scalar quantity while average velocity is a vector quantity, but both of them are having the same SI unit, which is meter per second. Okay, so you can note this point, in a notebook. Now for a moving particle in a given interval of time, let us discuss this topic also over here. Now for this, average speed can be many valued function, but average velocity would always be a single valued function. You have to note this point. Again, let us take another point, which is average velocity can be positive, negative or zero, but average speed would always be positive. Okay guys, you can note this down. Now let us move to the next one, which is instantaneous speed and instantaneous velocity. Unlike our average speed and average velocity, instantaneous speed and instantaneous velocities are nothing but the derivative. Okay, for example, you are having this curve over here. So in a nutshell I can say that if you want to have the instantaneous speed or instantaneous velocity, you can have the derivative of that particular point. In this, the time interval you are taking over here, it will be very small. Okay, the time interval will tend to zero itself. Okay, so time interval is very small for instantaneous speed and for instantaneous velocity, for both of them. So the instantaneous speed is the speed at which a particular instant of time and may have entirely different value than that of average speed. Okay, that question can be asked whether average speed is equal to instantaneous speed, whether they can be equal, whether they cannot be equal. Okay, and here I have written the mathematical aspect of it. Okay, it's nothing but the slope itself. Now instantaneous velocity is defined exactly like the speed. It is equal to the ratio of total displacement and time interval, but one qualification, that time interval is extremely small, as I have told you. Okay, instantaneous velocity can be termed as average velocity at a particular instant of time when delta t is tending to 0 and may have entirely different value than that of your average velocity. Again, it is nothing but the slope. Okay guys, so mathematically I can say that it is nothing but the usual derivative which we use. Now most important point which you have to take care is that the magnitude of the average velocity and average speed may not be equal, but magnitude of instantaneous velocity is always equal to instantaneous speed. That's the most important point guys. In NEET and in JEE exam, they can give you this kind of question in assertions. Okay, they can ask in any form of the question itself. Okay, now let us solve this particular question over here. So before that, let me switch to the pen. Okay, so the question is saying that in 1 second a particle goes from point A to point B moving in a semicircle of radius 1.0 meter. The magnitude of the average velocity. Now you know that average velocity is the net displacement upon the net time. Okay guys, nothing fancy about it. Net displacement over here, because you are moving in a semicircular path from A to B, the net displacement is nothing but the straight line joining both of them, which is 2r over here. Okay, 2r, and time, net time he have given you is 1 second. Put the value of radius over here. The radius is 1 meter to you given, so average velocity is 2. Okay, nothing fancy about it. Let us move to the next one. A particle moves along a semicircular path of radius r in time t with a constant speed. For the particle, you have to calculate the distance traveled, the displacement, the average speed, the average velocity. Let us pause the video for a minute and try to the question by yourself. Then again resume the video and see the video solution as I have done over here. So I will count up to 5 and you can just pause the video. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause the video. Now resume the video on the command of 3. 1, 2, 3. Resume the video. Now first one is the distance. So distance, I can say that the length of the particle, the length of the path of on which the particle had traveled, which is nothing but the means the semicircle over here, which is A to B. Okay, and that is AB, which is nothing but pi into r. Okay, then the displacement is nothing but the line joining both of the point, and it is 2r. Okay, then he is asking you the average speed, which is nothing but total distance upon total time. Total distance is nothing but pi r. Total time is nothing, let us say he's taking the time t as per the question. Then is your average velocity, which is nothing but the total displacement upon total time. So it was a very good question. It can make your basics up. Okay, let us move to the next one. So in this type of questions, when velocity is given as a function of time, so these are those category of question. So question is given to you that velocity time equation of a particle moving in a straight line is given as follow. The displacement of the particle from the origin at time t equal to 1 second, you have to find out if the boundary condition is given as that the initial displacement is 20 meter at time t equal to 0. So v is nothing but as given to you in the function of t over here. So v is nothing but ds by dt, 10 plus 2t plus 3t square. ds equal to 10 plus 2t plus 3t square. Integrate for the following. Now at initial you are at 20 meter at time t equal to 0. Okay, and at final, let us say I am having at certain s and the time I am taking is 1 second. You can integrate the following. Okay guys, you can pretty much integrate the following and you can land up with the following expression over here. S minus 20 10t plus t plus t cube t square plus t cube 0 1. Okay, put the value 1 and 0 in the following definite integral and you will be landing with the value of s to be equal to 32 meter. Okay guys, so you can pause and you can note down everything. I am going to erase it. Now acceleration time equation can be obtained by differentiating the above equation with respect to time. Okay, so as you know, dv by dt is a, so what I'm doing is I'm derivating it. 0 plus 2 plus 60. Okay, so you are left with acceleration of 60 plus 2. Very much easy. Now when the equation of displacement is given and speed is have to be find out. Now in this equation you can see that this is the displacement. Displacement can be 0, it can be negative, or it can be positive, as you know from the concept itself, whereas distance is always positive. Okay, it is always positive, it is a magnitude only. Now you are dealing with average speed. Average speed says distance per unit time. So your job is to find the distance when you are having displacement over here. So x equal to 2t minus 2. You have to find up to 4 seconds, t from 0 to 4 seconds. Now let us take at t equal to 0, I am having x equal to minus 2. So I am minus 2 behind my origin. Okay, I am 2 meter behind my origin. This is my origin. Okay guys, at time t equal to 1, what's my x is coming? X is coming 0. So I'm at my origin. At time t equal to 0, I'm at my origin. At time t equal to 0, I'm at my origin. Let us move forward. Let us take the final point itself. T equal to 4 second. At t equal to 4 second, I am at 6 meter from the origin. Okay, I am at forward but 6 meter. Okay, so now as you can see, distance is nothing but the distance is nothing but the magnitude itself. It's the modulus of the displacement. So at time t equal to 0, if I'm having a displacement of -2, what I'm having a distance of +2. Okay, I'm having a distance of +2. Now here as you can see a distance of 0, and from here you can see a distance of +6. So net distance you are having is 8. Okay, now as you can see I'm having total distance as 8 and time is 4 seconds. So my speed come out to be 2 only. Okay, 2 meter per second. Pretty much simple question. Now when velocity is given as a function of time and distance is have to be find it out. Now guys, in these kind of question, what you have to remember is you have to first find out at what instant the velocity is 0. If this instant is come in our time limit, then distance can be calculated by breaking the integration in the two part. Okay, with modulus with them. Okay, now I am taking an example over here, so this whole note will be taken care of. So let us take this example. If velocities depend upon time as follow: v equal to 4 minus 2t. You have to find the distance. Okay, so velocity is nothing but displacement over time. It is nothing but displacement over time, and you are concerned with the distance itself. So you can do is ds equal to 4 minus 2t dt. Okay, as I have told you that regarding the distance you are concerned with the magnitude, not with the direction or the sign itself. So as per the note, we have to find a time at which my velocity is 0. So 4 minus 2t equal to 0, giving me a time equal to 2 seconds. Okay, now according to the note itself, I have to break my integration at time t equal to 2 seconds. Okay, so as you can see, now I am going from a displacement or s equal to 0 to s certain s. I have to break my integration. So I am going from 1 to 3 second. I am going from 1 to 3 seconds. So I will be breaking at 2 second over here. So I am going from 1 to 2 second. That's my first integral. And again from 2 to 3rd second. That's my second integral. Now guys, keep in mind that this is again the displacement. We have not yet converted it into distance. To convert it into distance, please take the modulus of both of the integration as per the concept itself. So the concept was saying that find the time at which velocity is 0. We have finded out the time at which velocity is 0. Then at that instant of time, if the instant is coming in our time limit, then distance have to be calculated by breaking the integration into two part with the modulus. So what I have done is I have break my integration into two part because my time limit is in the limit. Okay, my time, whatsoever time I'm having over here, it's in the limit. Okay, I'm having a time from 1 to 3 and my time is coming out to be 2, so it's in the limit of 1 to 3 over here. Okay guys, so now I've break the integration over here. So I'm going from, instead of going directly from 1 to 3, I'm going from 1 to 2, then 2 to 3. Then afterwards what I'm doing is I will be taking modulus to both of the integrals. Okay, then I will be calculating everything using the usual integration itself. Okay, so the answer which I'm getting over here is nothing but 1 from here and 1 from here, giving me a 2 meter. Okay guys, so that you can do. Now when velocity is given you as a function of time, so please follow the following. If velocity is given you as a function of x, then what you can do is, you know that v equal to dv by dt, dx will be equal to dx upon fx equal to dt. Okay, so now here you can define the formula in between x and t over here. So if velocity is given by the following formulation, then you have to find out the relation in between x and t. So what you can do is you can just simply put this formula. So velocity is equal to x square dx by dt equal to x square dx by x square equal to dt. Integrate the following using the boundary condition whatsoever you are using. For example, in this he has given you that assume that at time t equal to 0, x is 1. At time t equal to 0, x is 1 over here. Okay, and you are moving to any arbitrary point, let us say x over here. Okay, and at time t over here, you can integrate the following and you will be landing up with the following integration: 1 by 1 minus t. You can do the integration by yourself. Okay, now let us move to the next one, which says average and instantaneous acceleration. Now from the previous knowledge itself, you will be knowing that average is nothing but you will be having the total change in velocity upon total time interval, whereas in the instantaneous acceleration you are concerned with the rate of change of velocity. You are concerned with the rate itself, the derivative, the slope itself. Okay, nothing fancy about it. Now acceleration is a vector quantity whose direction is same as that of change in velocity vector. Its SI unit is meter per second square. You can note it down. Now when the direction of acceleration and velocity are opposite to each other, then acceleration is termed as retardation, guys. Okay, now here is the most important formula of acceleration. You know this, acceleration is dv by dt, the rate of change of velocity. Now this is the double derivative. Okay, v is nothing but dr by dt. Okay, the rate of change of displacement. So what you have done is you have put the formula over here, then you are having d by dt of r. So you are landing with a double derivative over here. Okay guys, nothing fancy about it. You can represent it as follow: r double dot. Now you can manipulate the formula of acceleration to the following formula over here, which is v dv by dr. Now this formula is relating acceleration with velocity and the displacement, which is the most important thing over here. Okay, we'll be using this in frequent questions. Now as you know, in the following question, it is given that if acceleration is 2x, initially the particle is at x equal to 2 meter and is moving with 3 meter per second. Find out the velocity at x equal to 5 meter. Okay, so now he is concerned with only velocity and displacement with you. Okay, he have given you, although he have given you acceleration, but all he have concerned about is the velocity. So what you can do is you can use the usual formula, the special formula. V acceleration is v dv by dx. Okay, nothing fancy about it. You can use this formula. A is given to you as 2x, v you have to figure it out, dv, and then your dx I have taken over here. Okay, so 2x dx v dv. Put the boundary conditions over here. For example, here as you have given that initially you are having a velocity of 3 and a displacement of 2. Finally you are having a displacement of 5 and a unknown velocity v, which you have to figure out. Okay, you can just simply integrate it and find the velocity value, which is coming out to be under root 51 meter per second. Okay, now when acceleration is given as a function of velocity, let us take this type also. Okay, so we'll be doing an example over here for this. Okay, so if acceleration depends on velocity in the following way, let us take acceleration equal to velocity at time t equal to 0, x equal to 1. This is your boundary condition. Velocity is 1 meter per second. You have to find out what you have to find out. You have to find out its velocity at time t equal to 2 seconds. So let us use this formula over here. We have given with a equal to v, then I can say that dv by dt equal to v. Then I can have the following integration over here. Okay, putting the appropriate boundary condition, which says at initially I am having velocity of 1 at time equal to 0. Finally I am having a certain velocity v and a time 2. Okay, 2 seconds. Now I know that this is nothing but ln v, and this integration is coming out to be 2 over here. So v is nothing but e to the power 2 meter per second. Now let us solve the second one. Find out the velocity at x equal to 3. So I am again given with a equal to v. So v dv by dx equal to v, because I am concerned with the velocity with displacement over here. So that's why I have used the special formula over here. So v is cancelled by v over here. So v equal to dv equal to dx. Okay, putting the boundary condition which says I'm going from 1 to v and from 1 to 3 for the displacement. V is nothing but it is coming out to be 3 meter per second. Now let us look at the following type, which says when acceleration is given you as a function of time itself. So acceleration is given as 2t plus 1. It is a function of time. You have to calculate the displacement where boundary conditions are given to you. Nothing fancy about that. You know that acceleration is nothing but dv by dt 2t plus 1. You can figure out the value of v in a function of t. Why I am not taking t directly to 3 over here while integrating? Why I'm concerned about velocity to be equal to the function of t? Because now I can have my velocity to be relating with the displacement as follow from the formula itself. Okay, then I can relate my displacement and function of time, which is nothing but velocity, as follow. Okay, so there's a loop going over here. So dv is nothing but 2t plus 1 dt, and the limit I'm taking is initial velocity is 2, which is given to you. Final velocity, let us take any kind of v. Initial time is t equal to 0, and final time, let us take t itself. So I'm landing up with the following formula: t square plus t plus 2. This is my expression of velocity. Now as I know velocity is nothing but ds by dt, it gives me t square plus t plus 2 over here. Okay guys, now you can do the rest of the work over here. ds will be equal to t square plus t plus 2 dt. Okay, you can put the boundary conditions. So here you are given that at time t equal to 0 you are at x equal to 1, and you have to find for the x at time t equal to 3 seconds. Okay, so you will be having the net value of s, the end value of s, to be equal to 20.5. okay, so whosoever is getting 20.5, the value of x, is getting the wrong answer actually. Why? Because now you are saying that, what you are saying that in this, you are saying that at time, after time t equal to 3 seconds, the position of the particle is 20.5, but we are not concerned about the position of the particle. Okay guys, we are concerned about the displacement of the particle. So how will be calculating the displacement itself? This gives me the position of the particle. Okay, so now what I'm concerned about the displacement itself. So now you are having the position as 20.5 from the reference. Okay, you are having position at 20.5, but you are earlier at 1 meter itself. You are earlier present at 1 meter beyond itself. Okay, so the net displacement you have moved now is nothing but 20.5 minus the 1 meter. Okay guys, you got my point? Okay, so priorly, because initially you were at 1 meter itself, you were having an edge of 1 meter itself, a grace of 1 meter itself. So by your virtue you have moved only 19.5 meter itself. Okay, and this is giving you the position itself. Okay, so nothing fancy about that. We'll move to the next thing, which is constant acceleration formats. Okay, so constant acceleration formats, you can see over here. In this you are having a constant acceleration, so these are the equations which you will be employing: v equal to u plus at, s is equal to ut plus half at square, v square minus u square equal to 2as, and the nth second formula, which is v s equal to u nth, means at the nth second, for example the 9th second, the 10th second, the nth second, is equal to u plus a by 2 2n minus 1, which is the most important formula over here, which is the most important formula over here. Now let us derive the first equation of motion. Now what I'm using is, I'm using the integration method itself to derive all the formulas over here. I'm not using the old graphical method which we have used in the class 9th or class 10th. Okay, so first equation of motion, the acceleration is defined as dv by dt. As you can see on the screen, dv is nothing but a into dt. So when the time is 0, you are having a certain velocity, let us say initial velocity u. At time t, final time t, you are having a final velocity, let us say v. Integrate the following by using this boundary condition. Okay guys, integrate the following and you will be left with the following formula over here: v equal to u plus at. A is constant provided to you. Now let us quickly move to the second one, which says second equation of motion. Velocity you can define as follow. Okay, again I'm using the integration method. So ds equal to v into dt. Now from the previous itself I can say that v equal to u plus at. Okay, so I have incorporated over here, I have substituted the value over here. As you can see, using the boundary condition that at time t equal to 0 the displacement is 0, and at time t equal to t, final time, I am having a displacement s. I am incorporating the boundary condition over here, integrating them meaningfully, and I will be landing up with the following expression over here. Nothing fancy about it, you can do it by yourself. Then is your third equation of motion. Okay, Now as you know, A is nothing but dv by ds into v, as per the formula which I have told you in the earlier slide. Okay, so A into ds equal to v into dv. Follow the following boundary condition which says at time t equal to 0, velocity is u, initial velocity is u, displacement is 0. Okay, and at final time you are having a velocity v, displacement traveled is s. Let us say, hit the boundary condition into the following integral over here in the following manner. As you can see over here, it is very much simple, you can do it by yourself. Okay, I've given you the boundary condition. Integrate the formula. After integrating, you are left with this formula over here. You can just pause the screen and try to do it by yourself. I've given you the whole damn derivation on the screen itself. Okay, now let us move to the next derivation, which is the most important one, which says fourth equation, the nth equation. As you know, v is nothing but it equal to ds by dt. Okay, v is nothing but equal to u plus at. Now what I am taking here is, because for example, let us take, I am having 10 second of duration. Okay, so for the 10 second of duration, what I am having is, I am taking displacement for n minus 1 second, which is 9. Okay, which is 9 for me. Okay, so displacement travel is sn minus 1. Okay, when time is n minus 1 second. Okay, for 10 second it is 9 second over here. Okay, now I'm concerned about the 10 second itself. So what I've done is, I've taken the displacement for the 9 seconds, then I've taken the displacement for the 10 second itself. So I'm actually subtracting from the 10 seconds to 9 seconds over here. So I'm having left with the 1th second, the nth second. Okay, so when the time is n second, the displacement is sn for me. Now integrating equation 7, as you can see, within the limits. Okay, so I'm going from n minus 1 to n. Okay, I'm going from n minus 1 to n. Okay, so for the time being, as you can see over here, I'm going from n minus 1 to n, from the 9 second to 10 second, from 9 second to 10 second over here. Okay, as you can see over here, I'm subtracting. That's nothing but after the limit you will be evaluating, you will be subtracting. Okay, so you'll be left with the following formula over here. Okay, now use the usual arithmetic operations. Okay, use the usual formulas and you will be landing up with the following formulations over here. Okay, so that's the most important. So you can say that snth, any nth second, is nothing but sn minus sn minus 1, which I was saying that I was subtracting. Okay guys, so let us move to the next one. A car start from the rest and accelerate uniformly for 20 seconds to a velocity of 72 kilometer per hour. Now you have to take care in mind that you will be converting this 72 kilometer per hour to meter per second by multiplying it by 5 by 8. So I am having a 20 meter per second velocity over here. Okay guys, now it then runs at a constant velocity and finally brought to rest 200 meter with a constant retardation. The total distance covered is 600 meter. Find the acceleration, the retardation and the total time taken. Okay, so what I have done is, I have divided my motion into three parts. First one is the motion with the uniform acceleration, my first part. Then motion with the uniform velocity and motion with the uniform retardation, as you can see in the question itself. Okay, so let us take the first phase of the motion, which is motion with the constant or uniform acceleration. Okay, what I can say that here my initial velocity is 0, my time given as is 20 second, my velocity, final velocity is coming out to be 20 meter per second. 72 I have converted to 20. Okay guys, so using the following formula, v equal to u plus at, using the following formula, v equal to u plus at, I will be putting every value over here which says v is 20, u is 0, acceleration is given to me. Okay, it is not given to me actually. Time is 20 second and I can figure out the value of acceleration, which says acceleration is coming out to be 1 meter per second, 1 meter per second square. Okay, so acceleration I have find it out for my first part over here, for my first phase over here. Now the distance traveled, I can use the following formula, s is equal to ut plus half at square, because now I am having the acceleration itself. Q is 0, half, a is nothing but 1, t is nothing but 20, which give me 200 meter. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, I'm going from a velocity 0 to a certain velocity 20 meter per second, then I'm having a constant velocity of 20 meter per second. Okay, the time I've taken here is 20-second time. The displacement I've taken here is 200. Okay, and for this phase I have to calculate everything again. Okay, for this phase I've not been given with the displacement. Then afterwards I will be landing because of the retardation I'm experiencing over here. Okay, and with the zero velocity over here, final velocity. So let us take this second phase over here. Let us talk about this second phase, motion with the uniform velocity. Now as you know, s1 is coming out to be 200. Okay, s1 is coming out to be 200. The total distance is 600, and the last distance, this s3 distance, is given to you as 200. It is given that in within 200 meter, due to constant retardation, you are brought to rest. Okay, so I'm left with s2 value as 200 itself. Okay, nothing fancy about that. So now, because uniform motion is going over here, I can simply use this v equal to d by t, and from here I can say that velocity is given to me as 20, distance is 200, and time I have to take care. Time is coming out to be equal to 10 seconds for me. Okay guys, time is 10 seconds for me. Now let us take care about the third aspect, which says motion with a uniform retardation. Let us know what is the retardation we are experiencing over here. So v square u square plus 2as, v0 u is nothing but 20. Okay, 20. Now here 20 is the velocity for u, the initial velocity. Then 2, a is unknown to you, s is nothing but 200 given to you. Okay, so acceleration is coming out to be -1 meter per second square. Okay guys, and v equal to u plus at, you can use this formula and you can find the time, which is coming out to be again 20 seconds. So you have figured out the acceleration, you have figured out the total displacements, you have figured out the total time, you can add it up. Okay, first time 20 plus 10, then 20. Okay, so that's give me a 50-second. Total time is 50-second. Acceleration in the first phase 1, acceleration in the second phase 0, acceleration in the third phase -1. Okay, this is pretty much simple question. Now this question is very much important. Why? Because most of the people make mistake while doing this question as follow. So now he have given you that you have to travel the, means you have to find out the distance traveled by the block. So what you will be using, s is equal to ut plus half at square. Okay, everything is given to you, you can just put it over here and you will be finding that s is equal to 0. Okay, now if you're traveling, how in the world you'll be getting a distance equal to 0? As I've told you earlier, I've told you itself. Okay, from the earlier slides itself. So you know that this equation over here, s is equal to ut plus half at square, is not giving you the distance itself but only the displacement. Okay guys, you have to note it down. This is nothing but the displacement itself. Okay, that gives you the displacement. Now what I'm concerned about is the distance. So what I will be doing, I will be using the old school method of doing the long work. I will be taking the motion, or I will be parting the motion into the steps. For example, he is saying that he is moving with the certain velocity and this is the retardation it is experiencing. So v is equal to u plus at. Let us check wheresoever I am having a velocity equal to 0. So let us take the velocity to be equal to final velocity equal to be 0. Okay, acceleration is given to be -2, retardation is going over here. So at time t equal to 5 second, at time t equal to 5 second, now you have to take care that you are evaluating for the time up to 10 second over. Okay, up to 10 second only. So let us say you are here at the origin. Okay guys, let us take here, let us take you are at origin for 5 seconds, you are traveling and you are landing up with the 0 velocity. Okay, so you are traveling and you are landing here. Let us say a distance, displacement x, let us say from the origin you're landing over here and you are having a 0 velocity. Afterwards, because acceleration have not become 0, okay, acceleration is still there, you'll be having a reverse in the direction and you will be going in this direction only. Okay, afterwards you'll be traveling again. Okay, so what you can do is, you can first you can figure out this x is equal to ut plus half at square. Okay, from this you can figure out the value of x, okay, which is coming out to be for me is equal to 25. Find the value of a to be equal to -2 as per the direction itself. Okay, u is nothing but +10. Okay, now for another 5 seconds, I'm left with another 5 seconds. You will be traveling in this direction. Okay, you'll be traveling in this direction. So x2 is equal to ut plus half at square. Now at this point, at the point b, you are having a zero velocity, so this is 0. You're having 1 by 2, a is nothing but 2 into t square for the next 5 seconds. Okay, for the next 5 seconds, now you are having only 25, another displacement of 25. You are going back, so that's why you are getting a 0 over here, because you are adding a 25, then you are subtracting a 25. You are taking care of the sign itself. But for the distance, what I have told you, that you have to take the modulus itself. So first is 25, then another 25. You are not concerned with the sign itself. That gives you a total distance of 50. Okay guys, now overtaking problem. So these are the problem which are recently asked in JEE mains and NEET. But here I will not be using the usual new method of relative velocity, because I have not discussed yet, but I will be using the old school method which I was discussing for this, to build your concepts. So it is given that two buses from the origin itself, let us take this my origin, two buses are at certain position, let us say 50 and 100 as per the question. My bus number 1, bus number 2. At time t equal to 0 itself, they start moving in the same direction simultaneously with a uniform velocity of 10 meter per second and 5 meter per second. Okay, so he is moving with 10, he is moving with 5 meter per second, meter per second. Okay, determine the time and the position at which A overtakes B. Now guys, what you can do to have this, because A is overtaking B, so my bus number A is overtaking my bus number B over here. So what I can do is, as I know my initially for bus A the displacement is 50, for bus B the displacement is 100. Velocity is nothing initially but 10, velocity is nothing but 5. Now you have to take care the motion itself, which says that you are undergoing a uniform motion. Uniform motion, that means acceleration is 0 over here. Okay, so I can say that displacement at any time t is equal to displacement at time t equal to 0 plus v into t. Okay, that comes as per the rule itself. Velocity is distance upon velocity is displacement upon time, displacement upon total time. So you are having a displacement at certain time, then a displacement at time t equal to 0, then your total time t2 minus t1. Okay, now everything is given to you, so you can just substitute. For first case itself, you are having 50 plus 10t, velocity is 10. For the second case itself, you are having 100 plus 10t. Okay, this was the value given to you. Okay, sorry, 5t. Okay guys, now you are overtaking, A is overtaking B, so x1t should be equal to x2t. x1t should be equal to x2t. You can equate both of the equations over here. After equating both of the equation, you will be landing up with the value of time t equal to 10 seconds. Okay guys, so that does my work over here, because I'm overtaking. So displacement, both displacement are equal. Now look at this question. A bus starts from the rest with a constant acceleration of 5 meter per second square. At the same time, the car traveling with a constant velocity of 50 meter per second overtake and passes the bus. Find at what distance will be the bus overtake the car, and in the second part, how fast will bus be traveling then. Okay guys, so let us take the first part. Let us take care of the first part itself. Suppose the bus overtake the car after covering distance x. Okay, after covering distance s, let us say that bus is overtaking the car. So when the two are meeting, the time t will be same. Okay, when the two are meeting, the time t will be same. So s is equal to ut plus half at square. Okay, u is nothing but 0, so 0 plus half, a is given to you as 5, then t square. Okay, now this was for the bus itself. Okay, so for the bus we have taken care of. Now for the car, because car is traveling with a constant velocity, I can say that displacement upon time gives me a velocity, then s is equal to vt. Okay guys, so now I am having v to be equal to 50 for me for the car itself. Okay, so 50 into time t, s equal to 50t. Now equate both of the falling over here. Okay, because this is overtaking and both are covering the same. Okay, so after equating and the time is same which we have taken care of, I will be having the time value as 20 second. Put in any of the following formula and you will be having the value of s equal to 1000. Okay, so we have find it out the distance, at what distance the bus will overtake the car. Okay guys, now let us move to the next one, which says how fast will bus be traveling then. So using again v square u square 2a as the simple formula, u is 0, 2, a, now a is nothing but given to us 5, s you have find it out which is 1000 over here, you are given or you are having v to be equal to 100 meter per second. Now let us take the maximum separation problem. So you have to calculate for the maximum separation between the car and the scooter. Okay, so initially let us solve it as follow. Initially the separation between the car and the scooter increases and then let us say they decreases. So let us say that initially the separation is increasing and then it is decreasing. So separation between them will be maximum at that instant of time at which the velocity of the car is equal to the velocity of the scooter. Okay, so velocity of the car is equal to velocity of the scooter, I can write it over here, which is nothing but 40 meter per second. Then by the formula v equal to u plus at, because my final velocity of the car should be equal to the of scooter, acceleration is given to me as 4t, I can figure out the value of t which is coming out to be 10 seconds. So after 10 seconds you can say that both of them will be having the same velocity and that point of time you will be having the maximum separation. Now the distance traveled by the scooter in the 10 second is, the distance traveled by the scooter in the 10 second is nothing but 10 into 40, okay, which is 400 meter, because scooter is undergoing uniform motion with a velocity of 40. Okay, and the distance traveled by the car, is ut plus half at square. Okay, everything is given to you, u is 0, half, a is given to you as 4, then t is coming out to be 10 whole square, you are having 200 meter, So now the maximum separation in between them is nothing but the subtraction of the displacement in between them. So r is so I can say that s of scooter, which is 400 minus s of car, so 400 minus 200 give me a separation of 200. Okay, so they are that much distance apart from each other. Okay guys, you can do it by the usual method of the the relative also, but this is the old school method of solving these kind of problem with the rectilinear motion method itself. Okay, the old school method. So guys, if you love my lecture, like my lecture, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe my channel, and like, share and subscribe my channel. Please share the video, it is a must you can do, okay, among your friends. So this lecture was demanded by students which are taking my free class. I am giving a free course on physics which is still ongoing, and you can just message me on 8376896587, my usual WhatsApp number, to enroll in that classes. Okay, I'm giving a free physics classes over there. Okay, so students have demanded from me to make the video on this, so I've made the video. This is part 1 of the video. We'll be making the second part of the video as soon as possible. So we'll meet you in the next lecture. Until then, goodbye guys.